Okay. So this story takes place 1991, Chicago. And the deal is, my dad had a buddy, Red, and Red managed like retirement homes, and I wasn't an orderly, but I was sort of like an orderly. So I had this job, and when people would ask me about this job, everybody talked shit about me until they found out how much money I made. I'm going to tell you about the job right now, because in 1991, minimum wage was like $4 an hour, or it was less than $4.50, right? So anyway, I worked at this job, and my only job, I worked 12 hours a day, 4 days a week. And my only job was I did cleanings. So basically, I was in the busiest home that he managed, and when people would go to the bathroom or whatnot, and they were disabled, or they had issues with their arms or whatever, and they couldn't clean themselves, I would basically come in, and after they went to the bathroom, they relieved themselves, I would come in and clean them. And then people were like, "Oh, that's so fucking gross." And I was like, "Yeah, but it's really not that gross, because I get to wear gloves, and you use handy wipes or like wet towels, and then you're in and you're out, and everyone, it's such a vulnerable moment. Everybody's really it's amazing. You get people at their nicest, really, they're super sweet, and they love you because you're cleaning them, and it's embarrassing and whatever. And this was a great job, and everybody's like, "Oh, it's gross," but whatever. But I made $12 an hour. $12 an hour. I was 20 years old and living with my parents. I was the fucking man. You know what I mean? It was the best. But the thing was, here was one of the things was, this is also when I started acting, and I was getting auditions, and there were times I needed to take off. And this was a job that, there's no sub or whatever, and I needed someone to fill in for me. And so every time I would tell this story, people were like, "Oh, it's gross." And then when I would say make $12 an hour, like, "Oh my God, can I get this job too? Can I get this?" I was like, "No, there's three people that do this job. Get out of here." But anyway, it came a point when I did need someone to fill in for me when I would go on auditions. And I got this kid who lived across the alley from me, my buddy Javier. And the neat thing was, Javier actually got $2 more an hour than I did, but because he was coming in last minute, because I'd find out the night before that I have an audition, so I call Javier, he'd go in the next day, and he was making $14 an hour working a 12-hour shift, which is good fucking money. But my dad hated Javier. Javier lived across the alley from me, and it was my dad's friend that ran the places. My dad wasn't happy about it. He's like, "Javier's a fucking weasel," and whatever. I was like, "Oh, it's all right." He's let him, he's wiping asses. Who cares? Let him do it. So anyway, one day I'm at an audition, okay? And this happens after several months of Javier having the job and doing fine. I'm at an audition, and I get a page. This is the beeper days. And I get pages. I get 3 or 4 pages coming through with 911. And it's from my dad, and it's from my place of employment. But I'm at an audition, and this is priority. I'm like, what the fuck? And I start getting a little anxiety, so I'm like, I'm not going to go call them. I'm just going to sit here and tough it out. I'll do the audition, and I'll get in touch with them afterwards. Big mistake, because I had a horrible audition. I didn't get a call back, whatever. I rush out, and I call both parties from a payphone, okay? Both of them say the exact same thing. Was a woman at work had said that Javier, during a routine cleaning, tried to put his fingers inside of her. Now, this is right, exactly. This is just awful. I mean, first of all, these people they're older in their 70s. Most of them are older, and it's just disgusting, and it's bad on me. I got him the job, but the thing is, I should have fucking known, because Javier, this is the kind of guy Javier was, and this is it was funny. Without even speaking to him, I knew it was true, because this was the kind of guy Javier was. If we were hanging out and a cute girl would walk by, Javier was the kind of guy that would go, "Oh man, if these were caveman days, I'd club her right in the fucking head. I'd be fucking her in the cave right now." I mean, right? This is gross. You know what I mean? So this is the first thing I thought of. So I'm like, of course. I mean, this guy is hungry. I should have fucking known better, but I didn't. So now at this point, you think the normal proceedings, you get arrested, and all this stuff happens, and then whatever, he gets arrested, the trial, he goes to jail. But no, this is not what happened in Chicago in 1991. The deal was, Javier's father was one of the first, not the first, but one of the first Hispanic aldermen in the city, which is a big thing. Plus, he was sort of powerful because we were in a Hispanic neighborhood. He had some power. And when you're in this situation, something like this happens. It's a little bit bigger. I mean, of course, it's big and it's horrible, but it's bigger than just right there because of his father. And then this can become a very big issue, and it can't get out and whatever. And so, horribly and disgustingly, because Javier was on the inside and his dad was who he was, Javier suffered zero consequences. And honestly, I don't even think he got arrested. I don't even think he spent 1 hour in jail. You know what I mean? Like, I threw tomatoes at a car once and got busted. I sat in jail for fucking 8 hours. You know what I mean? This motherfucker did something despicable and spent zero time suffering consequences for it, which turned me sick. And the worst part about it was one day I'm sitting, and this is the worst, was for one, I got him the job, and he cost me my job, the piece of fucking shit. And then I'm hanging out with my dad one day on the porch, and Javier just comes strolling by like nothing even happened. And my dad's like, that fucking weasel. And I was like, I know, and I sit there, and I feel the shame. And it was horrible. And now here's something, here's a funny, so normally when I tell this, or whatever, this story, it ends right there, okay? But here's an interesting thing, funny, because I haven't told this in a while. But the interesting thing is that just a few, like a month and a half ago, I get a picture text, and here's what, I don't believe in karma, or whatever, but fucking, I get a picture text, and it's Javier, a buddy of mine, Huey sends it to me, Javier, and then I see you. I'm like, oh my God, what the fuck happened? Javier was shot by a random stray bullet, fucking crazy. The random stray bullet came from a woman who had just busted her boyfriend trying to molest her daughter. Fucking crazy. Fucking crazy. Karma got that motherfucker. My name is Monte LaMonte. Thank you so much.